We've all felt a flash of unease before a flight or driving on a dark road. Most of the time, that anxiety is just noise. But imagine waking up one morning with the absolute, undeniable conviction that today is your last day on Earth. The strange thing about this phenomenon is that the people experiencing it rarely show panic. There is no frantic fear. Instead, they exhibit an eerie emotional detachment, settling into a state of deep, unnatural calm. Out of nowhere, they start giving away their most prized possessions. They suddenly settle old debts they've ignored for years. They cancel long-standing plans because they somehow know they won't be there to attend. They call distant relatives to offer unexpected apologies and permanent goodbyes. These accounts aren't urban legends or internet folklore. Many of these abrupt behavior changes are heavily documented, corroborated by hospice nurses, doctors, and entire families. It forces us to ask what exactly is happening here. Are we looking at a quirk of mathematical probability, a hidden biological mechanism detecting failure, or is this a genuine anomaly that science hasn't mapped yet? To figure that out, we have to push past the ghost stories and directly examine the absolute limits of human psychology and scientific measurement. Look at this visualization of probability operating on a massive scale. When you have 8 billion human lives interacting every single day, mathematical law guarantees that highly improbable coincidences will occur. Millions have nervous feelings before leaving, and by chance, a fraction will be right. Then psychology takes over. When tragedy strikes, grieving brains try to make sense of chaos, causing memories to subtly reshape and distort retroactively. Survivors will unconsciously take a completely innocent, random remark from the victim, like, "I could sleep forever," and recontextualize it. After the death, that passing comment suddenly feels like a profound, intentional warning. While mathematical probability and memory distortion easily explain these retrospective stories, they completely fail to explain cases where people make specific, physical preparations in real time before their deaths. Medical professionals witness this behavior all the time. In hospice care, perfectly stable, lucid patients will suddenly shift their demeanor, operating with absolute certainty that the end is arriving immediately. Nurses report patients spending an entire day giving meticulous instructions for their funeral and delivering methodical, individual goodbyes to every family member. And then, peacefully, they pass away that exact same night. Psychologists attribute this to a biological framework called death awareness. The theory suggests that our subconscious mind acts as a hyper-advanced pattern recognition engine. This anatomical schematic illustrates how internal biological triggers work. Our brains monitor microscopic physiological shifts. Long before conscious minds notice a problem, the subconscious detects tiny drops in blood pressure and subtle shifts in heart rate, triggering a silent neurological alarm. Once this internal realization takes hold, the anxiety dissipates. Patients often become incredibly peaceful, accepting the diagnosis their own body has quietly handed them. In these medical environments, there is no supernatural prediction happening. The brain is simply reading the data and diagnosing its imminent biological collapse. But that biological model hits a wall when the threat has nothing to do with health. How could a subconscious brain possibly warn a perfectly healthy person about a random external disaster that hasn't happened yet? Consider the behavioral anomalies documented in aviation history. There are numerous accounts of healthy individuals who left highly unusual, final, and emotional messages to their loved ones right before boarding doomed flights. We see the same pattern in historically verified anomalies, like Abraham Lincoln's meticulously documented premonition in 1865. Just days before he was shot, Lincoln described a vivid dream to his close associates. He recounted wandering through the White House, hearing invisible crowds weeping, and being explicitly told that the president had been assassinated. A century later, shortly before the 1966 Aberfan disaster in Wales, a young girl named Errol Mae Jones inexplicably told her family she wasn't afraid to die, claiming she had seen a vision of children around her who were already dead. Days later, she became one of the victims when a massive landslide engulfed her school. Researchers later collected hundreds of reports of premonitions surrounding the disaster, emphasizing the sheer physical scale of the threat. Because these victims suffered external, environmental deaths, their warnings completely defy the biological detection model. No internal shift in heart rate can predict a landslide or an assassin's bullet, leaving a massive gap in our scientific understanding. This creates a wide spectrum of explanations. Biology effectively explains the fading hospice patient, while sheer mathematical probability accounts for the anxious traveler who happens to be right. Yet a profound gap remains for those perfectly healthy individuals caught in sudden violent accidents, whose highly specific, documented predictions break all of our current models. It suggests a lingering mystery. The human subconscious might be tethered to time, reality, and our own mortality in ways we simply do not yet have the tools to measure. We look outward for the unknown, but the most terrifying and profound mysteries don't exist in haunted houses or abandoned places. They are locked right inside the hidden capabilities of the human mind itself.